As parents, you have probably searched the question, how much sleep does my baby need? Or maybe, how much sleep should my toddler be getting? And what you found first was a chart. Neat little rows, hours by age, looking very precise. Then you looked at your own child and your own nights and thought, are we doing that? Or even, how do we do that? If that chart comparison has been nagging at you, I would love to give you some perspective on it. I'm Heidi, pediatric nurse, lactation consultant, and sleep specialist. I work with English-speaking families raising little ones all over Europe. And this question, how much sleep is really enough, comes up very often when parents are looking for guidance on healthy sleep for their young ones. Before we go on, there's one thing I would like to say. If you are looking up these charts and watching this video, it is because you love your child very much and you want to be a good parent. I see that. And I understand wanting a clear number. Structure gives us a sense of security. And when we feel we can nail something down or have a clear goal, the doer in us feels better. The truth is that a situation never stays nailed down for long. Especially with raising children, one thing you learn is that it is unpredictable. I like to think of it as more like a dance than a box or a straight line. Just realizing that you will never get it completely right and then happily ever after can be a relieving thought. So together, let's look at how much sleep a child presumably needs. There is no single right number. There is a range, the range is wide, and your healthy child is going to be in there somewhere most of the time. Very loosely, here's the gist of it. A newborn sleeps a lot, across the day and night with feeding during wake times. Their circadian rhythm hasn't developed yet. And over the first months, more of their sleep gathers into the night and the naps in the day begin to find a rhythm. Across the toddler years, those naps consolidate and slowly fall away until there is often just one and then none. That is the broad arc most children move through. Where exactly your child sits inside it and when varies. Some of it comes from your child inside, and some of it from the world around them. For comparison, take the range of learning to walk. There are babies who take their first steps at 10 months old, and other children may start walking at 18 months old. And even though those ages seem far apart, both of them are considered normal. Sleep need has a range too. It is not exact, and not every day is the same. You do have some control over how things develop. Provided the setting is conducive, walking happens. And as long as the child's environment is supporting good sleep, the child will generally get enough. Here's something charts will not tell you outright. We have far less hard science on exactly how much sleep a particular child needs than you might imagine. That's because ethically doing experiments with children is problematic, as you can gather. So those tidy numbers are averages and estimates, often reviewed in hindsight. They should only be seen as a guiding point. What we do know is how much sleep matters. The sleep researcher, Matthew Walker, calls sleep the most powerful thing we can do to restore the body and mind, and for a small child growing and developing like crazy, that is even more true. Let me tell you about a family I worked with to show you how sleep needs vary from child to child. I'll change their names, but the family itself is real. Michelle and Harold had 2 children, 3 years apart, and they could not have been more different. Their son Simon was up with the birds from the very beginning with a smile on his little face. Their daughter Nora was a night owl from the time she was tiny, different from her brother from day one, and was hard to get moving in the morning. Neither parent had done anything to cause it. It was simply how each child was. As Simon and Nora have become older, you can see how well their sleep behavior fits their personalities perfectly, now and in retrospect. So if you are wondering whether your child is getting appropriate sleep, here is a gentle place to begin. Track just 2 to 3 days, a window big enough to see the shape of a typical day and night. What the clock times are and how your child is naturally sleeping during that window, both are worth your attention and both get written down. Then you observe. How do they wake up? Rested? or cranky and hard to reach for a while? How do they go down for naps and evening bedtime? Settling without too much fight, or wired and resisting every step? How is their mood, their learning? How are they communicating with you during the day? Read that alongside the clock, and together they will tell you what a chart with a specific number of hours never can. Sometimes just consciously observing over a few days without focus on changing anything can bring a ton of insight. One thing to avoid, of course, is a sleep deficit stacking up over many days. One rough night is not a problem. What some parents do afterward is when it can get off track. If we compensate too much after a bad night, with a very long nap or an early bedtime or sleeping in the next morning, it can tip a child into what I like to call baby jet lag, where the whole rhythm slides, causing the next days to get harder. So the kindest thing after a rough night is simply not to overdo the catch-up. And if you like having a chart in front of you, keep it. Just hold it as a spectrum, a range your child moves around inside, and not a fixed amount they have to hit every 24 hours. This is the middle way I am always referring to. Grip numbers too tightly, and the whole evening turns into a spreadsheet. Let go of rhythm and there is nothing left to lean on. So you keep a light structure and you stay willing to move a little, dancing back and forth between the two, watching the clock and being present with your child in the moment. That is how you keep from driving yourself crazy in either direction. And here's the part I most want you to hear. If you keep the conditions reasonably supportive and consistent, a calm enough evening, a rhythm your child can adjust well to, your child will get the sleep they need. You can trust human instinct far more than we tend to. There's a lovely idea in Feeding and Eating from Ellen Satter that the parent provides the food and timing, and the child decides whether, how fast, and how much to eat of what is offered. Sleep, I find, works much the same way. The framework is your part. The sleeping is theirs. You don't make them sleep or eat. A sick child, of course, is always an exception with sleeping, and don't hesitate to talk to your pediatrician as needed. Maybe you have already tried steering by the chart alone. An earlier bedtime because the numbers said so, a capped nap, a stricter schedule, and it held for 2 or 3 days, and then everything slid back to how it was. Nothing is wrong with you or with your child when that happens. A chart can only ever know the average child, and it has never met yours. Your child is obviously more than a number on a page, and they are their own small person with their own sleeping preferences and needs. This is the whole picture I look at with families, including what has happened so far sleep-wise, using short tracking and normal ranges, and where your child is now, plus parents' own relationship to sleep. There's no cookie-cutter version of it, and there is no finish line either. Seeing your child this way is where it begins. Finding the balance and holding it for your particular family and your child's current stage is the part we can do together. If this is the kind of company you would want at bedtime, please subscribe so the next video finds its way to you when you need it. If you would like to go a little deeper, I have a free guide called A Different Way to Look at Your Baby's or Toddler's Sleep. There's a link below. And if you would like to talk about your own child and your hopes and wishes around sleep, there's also a link to book a free call with me. Let's get you well rested.